Hey, everybody. Hi, Gavin. Hello. Okay. Hi. I just wanted to go live. I was going to go live yesterday, and I just, for New Year's Eve, and it was just like, I am so tired. I can't move. So, what I wanted to do was, first of all, talk to you a little bit about the astrological. I want to say things that are going on. And I know there's so many good channels that talk about that. So what I want to talk about is that when we look at, hello, Gavin, when we look at astrology, and I just want to take a moment and just kind of welcome some people. And, it's so funny. I have like 100 pairs of glasses. You all know that already. But I have them because they're different, different, readers, like degrees or whatever. So now I've got one that I can look at. Okay. So I just want to say, hey, Cruise Boston. Yeah, fresh start. Happy 2020. Hopefully our eyesight will be a little bit better. Let's see. Hey, Jana. Rudy, what's going on? Saying hi to people. Happy New Year. It's funny. I just felt very calm about this year coming in. Hi, Priestess. Good to see you. All right. So it's good to see people jumping in. And I always like to welcome people. I know that freaks some people out. They're like, oh, you're so distracted. But I've gotten a lot better. All right. So what I want to start with right away is I wanted to talk about something that I do every year. Now, first of all, I don't know if you got this, but one of the things I think is super important when you go into a new year, is it an even year or is it an odd year? I took off my glasses, so I'm not looking at the chat right this moment. An odd year, so 2019 was about building. An even year is an implementation year. So this is a year about doing. Oh gosh, I get out, I start yawning. It's the energy. Now, what's important about having an even year, 2020, being about implementation, is you're not just setting up an even year. You're setting up the structure and the way in which you're going to be doing things in this next decade. I mean, it's almost funny if we look back to 2010 or even 2000, when we look at those, how we were starting those new years, it was really, it was very different. So one of the things I want to say, every year I do this, I always look at the moon, where the moon is as we usher in the new year, because it's actually going to change. It may change in different parts of the world just slightly, but I looked up, just because I did, I looked up Eastern United States, and then I also looked up London, and I looked up one other place, and it was all moon in Pisces. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today. I'm going to talk about, number one, the value of an even year in implementation. Now remember, 2019 was a year in which you were building, because the building years are odd, the implementation years are even. How does that differ? Well, we're now going into this new decade with a moon in Pisces. Now, if anybody knows what moon in Pisces is, it's like, it's drinking, it's just relaxing, it's thinking. Unfortunately, moon in Pisces is very creative, extremely creative. The problem is you can get into an idea of creating a theme, right? And I'm just so you guys know, I'm not reading the chat right now. I'm just focusing on what I'm going to say, and then I'll look at questions and stuff in a minute. When you look at the idea of a moon Pisces, which is extremely creative, you also need to rein it in, because a moon Pisces can be, first of all, I see a lot of people who have substance stuff going on with moon Pisces. They also tend to be very intuitive. So there's that two-sided thing. But what happens when we're starting a year like that? Well, we're starting a decade with a whole new imagination. We're starting a decade with an entirely new way of seeing things. So remember that the moon in Pisces, and I think, if I can't remember, but I think last year was Gemini, moon in Gemini. The point I'm making is that that's going to be moon in Pisces is like, ooh, dreamy. Here's the key. Some of you know me well enough to know I used to do every year setting your theme, pick the theme for the year. And it's a fairly involved course. It takes a couple of weeks to get done. But what I decided this year is to really, because of the moon Pisces coming in, Cruise Boston, I love you. Because of moon Pisces, I really decided to do some real, like focused goal setting. Now, why is that? Well, Moon Pisces needs structure. Okay. And let me tell you something. You had lots of time last year to think about yourself. We spent a lot of time going over things that were like not working in our lives, or that needed structure, that didn't have it. We needed answers, right? And we weren't finding it. There were a lot of confusing crimes that happened in 2019. Now, and we also have been looking a lot at history. And of course, I'm working on a book around that, but not that, but history in itself. So here's what I want to say to you. I did something that I haven't done in years, and that is I created for myself an entire, I want to say, goal setting that is a very simple way of looking at your goals and working on achieving them. Now, here's the thing about this, because a lot of people go, oh, goal setting, here we go. That's not the same as a New Year's resolution. And I want to be very clear. New Year's resolutions are meant to be broken. And if you make a New Year's resolution, by the way, in Pisces, it probably will get broken, because Pisces is about stretching outside the norms. It's not going to be the thing that people, they're not going to be structured. And I think that's oh, I just noticed that Rudy said his posts are getting deleted. No one's deleted you, Rudy. Just want to tell you. I just noticed that kind of came up, and I was like, what? Thank you, Tina. I am feeling better. All right. Yeah, that's too weird. I don't know what's going on, Rudy, but you're here with us. So I just kind of, every once in a while, I can see a flash of something. I'm like, what? So something shiny, Moon Pisces, right? Okay. So how does that affect you? Now, here's the deal. This is not about your chart. This is about how the world is operating, right? So that Moon Pisces means it's all like, oh, let's create something. Oh, let's just do something. And they're not getting anything done. Does that sound familiar? They're all kind of off in this idea of something that they're not really, solidifying. However, 2020 is going to be a decisive year. And if you're not in that, I want to say, cognizant mode of knowing what needs to get done, you're going to be drifting out to sea. Now, that's why I said I usually just set a theme and I allow the theme to take me and I do stuff. This year, it's very interesting, and I don't know how many of you have this. I'm curious where you're at. Are you feeling in any way like, oh my gosh, I got to get stuff done. I'm tired of sitting around. There's the kind of that feeling of like, and I've had other people saying this to me, I want to get something done. I don't want to just sit there and think about myself. Now, I've done a lot of that, but I want to say that I think that we are really, that I think we're in this really interesting time. So here's what I want to say to you. How many of you are interested, and I will do it right now if you want. I was going to share with you some of my goal setting and how I'm doing it that's very different than, because I want to say to you, forget resolutions, forget it. Forget it, right? Because resolutions, oh, I'm going to resolve to do this. And then you just sit there and go, I don't know when I'm going to get off the couch to do it. It's like, I won't do that. So here's what I'm going to say to you is, hold on. I really want to take this up. Any political things off, please. Anything that says any particular candidate, I'm going to, okay. I'm putting you in a timeout. You're going to get a chance to, thank you. Anybody who says anything political, off. I don't want to hear it. That's not what we're here to do. Okay, so that's important. So here's the thing. That is a big distraction. We have spent almost 4 years now in a big distraction. And it's been, if you look back, all right, on the last few years of this past decade, it's been distraction. And here we come in to this new decade and we're going, okay, here's another distraction. So here's what I want to say to all of you. Yeah, I don't want any politics on this channel. And the reason I don't is because the thing that I want to say to all of you is that's a slippery slope, because it is no longer something where we honor people's opinions or thoughts as different. We look at everyone as an extension of us, and we take everything personally to such an extent where it's like, you've got to be like me. And it's like, but that's the problem. If you're too much like me, we don't have variety. And so one of the things I want to say is that I want to really keep things that are going to be, it's such a waste. I know Humanimal. I just want to say, she said, what a waste. And I just feel like if we're looking at 2020, here's how I'm doing it. And I'm going to share with you. And by the way, I didn't do resolutions. I did not do my theme yet. But what I did do is this. Okay, so get your pens out, because you can always listen back to this, but I'm going to take a sip of water. And okay, so the first thing that I really want you to do, which is unlike anything else you've done before in some ways, and in some ways it'll be very similar. I took a piece of paper, and at the very top, I wrote down the amount of money I wanted to generate each month. Okay. Now, in the past, people always say to you, oh my goodness, you've got to come up with your why. And I want to say that's a very goal setting heavy thing. And by the way, I want to say this to you. The purpose of a goal is who you become in the process. It's never about the goal. Okay. So we pick a goal because what that goal is going to do for us, that is what people, identify as the why. When people say, why do you want that? Well, it's because who I'm going to become when I generate that money. So when I looked at how much money I wanted to make per month, right, I wrote that down. Okay. And I wrote down just at the top of the page, and then I looked at it and I shook because it was more money than I've made. And I kind of went, and should I? And there were a lot of thoughts that swirled. And I went, okay, don't look at the number, but what could I do with that number? And I went, well, I could have a personal chef that cooks healthy for me because I don't eat healthy. I could also get a trainer and do the training. That would be good. I could also perhaps travel more. That would be fun. I could also set up the program that I have in my head about, training inner city kids about wealth and the stock market and how to get involved in financial gain. Right? And how to work with money in that way. It just happens to be an area that I'm good at. And I thought, that would be really cool. Because I noticed a lot of kids that haven't grown up with money, they don't understand what it is. And that's another thing. When you get that much money, what do you do with it? So when people say the why, a lot of times people's why is, you know what? When I get this amount of money, I'm going to pay off my bills. I'm going to pay my rent for the year. I'm going to buy my car. And it's like, boy, that sounds sexy. I don't know about you, Joy. I want to get that money so I can pay off my bills. Woo! That is not fun. So the thing is that in order to really get why am I doing it? It's because, wow, I would really love a weekly massage. Because that would put me in a state where I'm at my optimal, state, so that I can then work with others. And I would really love to start, like these financing programs where I could go to kids and start teaching them. I started studying stock market. I started reading books when I was 16 about it. So, when I say this to you, it's kind of like the different things that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not getting to the visionary part yet, because this is really important that you go, wow, that's kind of exciting. Like if I could have someone cook for me, and I could have someone, like a workout buddy. And then, I start thinking about, wow, that would get me into optimal health. I'd have more energy. I would have more money equals freedom to me to help more people, see? So for me, it has to begin with you, right? You have to put your own gas mask on. I think the whole joke about, I want to make so much money so I can give to the world, forget that. Because the truth is, you're never going to do it. You're never going to do it unless you see the benefit of it. When people say to me, oh, that evil 1% of the world, they have all the money. And it's like, if you hate wealthy people, you'll never become one. You can never become what you hate. Think about that, right? Are you really going to want to become something you hate? No. Okay. So here's what I want to say to you. And somebody just said something about a Gucci purse. Okay, here's the thing. I started this several years ago where I said, Every year for my birthday, I'm buying myself a Coach bag. That's what I get. And I saved up over the year and I bought myself a Coach bag. Well, it lasted for about 4 years. Then I kind of got sick of Coach and I went, I don't really want that. But here's the thing. Once I had it, it was no longer something that I felt denied. And I think that we cannot help others. We cannot create anything if we feel denied. So let's talk about structure, because this is very important going into a Pisces year, into a Pisces. And by the way, it sets the tone for the decade. When you look at a moon sign, moon is emotion. And I don't have the deck with me, but in my Chakra Wisdom Tarot deck, I have an entire thing of how I set up the chakras with planets. So when you look at the moon, you're looking at your second chakra, which is your emotional life. Your emotional life is going to determine what you do and don't create for yourself. So it's very important when we look at, especially Pisces, because we can get insensitive and then not want to do anything. So here's the key to this. The key to this is that whatever you want to create, so write that number down, whatever it is. And I'm going to say to you, please don't make it safe. If you're, and don't make it like so ridiculous that you can't see it either, because that's kind of defeating yourself. But I'm going to give you an example. If, for instance, you put down $5,000, what would it look like if you had $10,000 a month? What would that look like? And the thing that begins to happen is that when you put that down, you start looking, and I think Jen said, I want a laundry service. That's great. These are things we want, because what's going to happen is when these things are brought into our lives, we have more space to be generous with others. See, it doesn't work the other way around. Everybody thinks, I just want money so I can help people. It doesn't work like that. I'm so sorry. You have to be able to be the wise shepherd with your money. When you are the wise shepherd, you can then share it with other people. Too many people think, I'm just going to give all my money away. No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. In fact, what will happen is if you start with that idea, you're going to end up hoarding it. And you're not going to use it. And you're not going to know what you want. So we get into this really, I want to say almost like this dangerous cycle with money. And I think that it becomes the tool with which we beat the hell out of ourselves, right? So we can go, well, if I had that, I would do that. Really? I've never found in my life that I ever thought, and this is really funny because I have some friends that are really how did you do that? Because I spent a lot of money on a particular mentor a couple of years ago. And they go, how did you do that? I went, I decided that I needed it. And they were like, but it was X amount of dollars. Where did it, I go, well, it just showed up. And they were like, what? And here's the thing. You all know this. There is this law of attraction. And by the way, I'm going to say this to you because it can be a little bit dicey. All right. I want to say this. One of the things I want to say to you about law of attraction, you'll attract it. You'll attract anything, but can you maintain it? Can you keep it? Can you sustain it? Will you be able to use it? That's why we start with that number. Put that number on that piece of paper. And with that 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, whatever amount, 50,000, 100, whatever you want to generate each month, okay? Your monthly generation number, right? You must put down, what am I going to do with that money? Because otherwise you're just going to be like, I want money. And money's just going to go away. How many of you have heard me talk about The Secret of Money? Have you heard about, maybe you haven't. All right, I'll tell you then. This is my secret. Here's the secret of money. Now everybody knows this already. It's not a big, some of you heard me tell the story. Okay, so I have this thing stuck in my craw. I always wanted a pool. I want a pool at my house. I can't put one in this house. It's kind of not going to work. So it's eventually I'll have to move, right? Well, here's the thing about a pool. So if I say to you, hey, let's see. Hey, Jen, I want a pool. And Jen says to me, well, that's great. Then get a pool, right? And I go, yeah, I know, I want a pool. And Jen says to me, okay, here's what we're going to do. Let's get your hose. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just come on, get the hose. Okay. She goes, okay, now turn it on full blast in the yard and we will flood your yard. You're going to have lots of water. That's not a pool. And why does that not work? Well, because, I haven't built a container for it, right? There's no pool container. I have to dig. I'm going to have to get all sorts of things done. I'm going to have it, structural engineers. There's all kinds of things that happen with pools and getting them put in. But if I don't do that groundwork, that water's just going to go everywhere. And Jen's going to be like, oh, I guess that didn't work. Well, I know it didn't work. But here's the thing that begins to happen. When you create a structure for money, when you create that pool, you can put water into it, and that will hold it. See, that's what money is. You can't just turn on a hose and get money. I mean, you can, but yeah, just like Rudy. Okay, you were probably in trouble over that. He flooded his yard. And then we've all done that. We've all dug a little hole and tried to put water in, and we go, oh, that's just mud, But here's the thing. Somebody said planning. Absolutely, planning is part of it. And yet there's another piece. There's, what do you want? And I'm not talking about like, I really want this. It's more like, okay, when I create this money per month, and I want you to take a minute right now, and I'm going to give you more to do, so it's okay. Write down the cool things. And just, if you would, just shout out a couple things here if you want on like, I would like this. Jen put, I want a laundry service. For me, it's like, man, I would want a weekly massage. What do you want? I want somebody who can cook my meals. I want someone to walk my dogs. I want someone to walk me. I want someone who whatever that is, just declare the things that you would have. And you can be writing these down on a piece of paper. Here's the thing I want to say to you. Keep writing these things down. Keep writing them down, because what begins to happen is then you start to get what Tony Robbins and all of those experts call, leverage. You're going to get leverage. Something is going to start pushing you up. And that's what we're talking about. So let me look at this. So Kimberly wants to remodel her home. Fuck you. Yeah, don't even laugh. There was a guy in LA who walked people. And guy made so much money. Okay, you want to meet Peter Murphy, your favorite singer? Awesome. Photography equipment. Oh, how fun. Now, I'm going to say Stefani. I think that's the right name. Yeah, exactly. Rudy. Photography equipment. That's a great thing. Okay, so you write that down, right? And what I want you to do under photography equipment is break that down, right? So you start to look at that and go, oh, okay, what are they? Because that's an important part of your I know I'm coming over to your house, Cruise Boston. I want an in-ground pool. I want to swim. I love swimming. That's like my jammy jam. Okay, I'm coming to your house. That's it. Date's on. All right, build a home in the mountains. Oh, that's great. A home gym. Ooh, True Crime Trish. That's great. Oh, good. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Let's see. Get me and pets a home to visit new places, buy some land. Ooh, TKO, that's great. A tiny house, that sounds fun. I want successfully epoxy business. Oh, I love epoxy stuff. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I love the tables and those cool, I'll be your first client. Okay, good, Stephanie. Sorry, I didn't know how to say it. I want to be skinny again. Oh, Linda, I'm glad you mentioned that. So here's what I want to say about weight. Remember, you don't ever want to have a goal of losing weight, because what happens the minute you lose weight, okay, and you've gotten to that ideal weight, what's going to happen is you start gaining the weight back, because your goal is to lose weight. So you have to keep your goal, you got to gain weight to lose it. So be careful of losing weight as a goal. What you want to say in that sense is, I want to be healthy. I want to be a really healthy weight for me. I want to be in my favorite clothes again. Now, for me, that's going to be a size 8, because those are all my, fun clothes. So, and remember something, most men are like their sizes are 40 and 42. So 14 sounds small to them. You have to remember everything's relative, right? So let's see. I couldn't do a tiny house. I couldn't either, but I think it'd be fun to have. Create a system. Now, here's what you want to do. Jennifer just said create a system to lose weight. So you want to create a system to be a healthy weight and happy in that place. So I want to feel unpregnant. Oh, okay, that's another one. I want to put in my backyard to rent. Oh, how fun, TKO. That sounds fun. We're all going to your house. Just let us know when you build it. So the idea is that these are like, now you want to put at the front of that, okay? And this is something that you can do with a friend. At the front of that, what if I had a tiny home? What if I was my ideal weight? What if I What if I had a new home for me and my pets? Start putting the what if, because what if, and I use that a lot when I'm teaching, because it's kind of like it starts to get exciting. What if I did have 50,000 a month coming in? What would that look like? Wow. What could I, and see, a lot of these self-help people, and don't get me wrong, I think they're great, but you see, they've already done this. So what happens is they're sitting there going, what if I could help more people? And it's like, okay, I get that you want to help more people. We all do, right? Because you ask anybody about if they're working on a book, I want to change the world. Well, you know what? Why don't we just say you want to leave the room with dignity? Okay, start there, and then we can build. Okay, so the next thing we want to do on here. Okay, thank you, Christina. That's really nice. Okay, Rudy. Here's what I'm going to say to you. Rudy just wrote down, I want to find love again, but then again, maybe not. People are nuts these days. Here's what I want to say to you. When you create such an existential enjoyment of your life, somebody's going to want to come play with you. When you're like, oh my gosh, I get a massage weekly. Oh my God, I go here. Somebody's going to be like, I want to do that. Can I do that with you? And all of a sudden, you find that there's an instant attraction into your life. You're not looking for something out there. You're finding something in here, because when you're having fun, you're going to find somebody to have fun with. It's just that way. Because remember, people want to be around fun people, right? Okay, so let's move on with some of the. Let's see. Who cares, Cruise Boston? You can fit into any jeans you want, and they're in style if you're wearing them. Yeah, I know. It's like, okay. All right. Ooh, okay. TKO Bronson says, Stephanie, he has a Nikon and a Canon, and he took photography. You guys should get in touch, talk about it. All right, so let's move on to the next thing, because there's 3 more steps, and I want to give you these steps because I want to go and work on my goals, and then I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm going to come back in probably in the next day or two, because I really want to start getting back into some of my true crime, which I love. So we're going to have fun with that. And when I say I love, it's kind of sick, but I have a couple cases that I'm looking at, so I will be moving into that. Let's talk about you. Okay, so the very next thing I want you to do, and this isn't, by the way, this is a Warren Buffett thing, so I'm kind of grabbing a couple ideas. The next thing that you want to do, what you really want is to really take on. And by the way, we're only going to work with career right now. Now, Rudy, I'm going to just like you. I'm going to take my personal life, right? I'm going to take, my personal life, which is where romance fits. And then I'm going to put, there may be other things, but for right now, I'm going to just guide you through career. So what I'd like you to do right now, and you can just make a note of it and you can do it later, but you're going to write down, this is a Warren Buffett thing, 25 career goals you want to achieve in your lifetime. What are 25 things you want to do in your lifetime that are career related? And you know something? I'm going to tell you, I guarantee most of you really already know, even if you're afraid of it. How about that? Now, here's the thing I want to say to you. If you feel afraid or you feel worried about it, I just want you to breathe and drop your shoulders. Just kind of let that go. All right. When I put down my number, I was terrified for 2 days. I looked at it and I go, how am I going to do that? And then suddenly thoughts came to me of what I wanted to create. And then all of a sudden it was like, it's not that far. So what I want to say to you is that I would rather you pick a high goal and go for it than pick a low goal and maybe not really achieve it, or achieve it. It doesn't mean much. So, okay, pick your 25 things. Now, like for me, obviously, it's going to be finish my new book. That's one of them. But you see, that's kind of a day-to-day goal, right? So what are the 25? Well, one of them is definitely, have another bestseller, and probably move into, I just did my nails, so I'm kind of like I'm just smoothing them out as I talk to you. But one of them is definitely, I've enjoyed so much Color Street, and that you guys know I'm selling that, and I'm just really enjoying it. So I want to stay with that. So that's definitely in my career path. There's also, because the thing is, I get to work with others one-on-one when I'm selling it, in the sense that the people that sign up with me, I'm working with them, and it's so fun. I just started a mastermind group, and we are like going to rock it this year because I'm just really excited about that mastermind. So that's something in my career. And I listed like 25 things, but here's the key to this. I'm glad you said that, TKO. Thank you. Here's what I want to say to you. Pick your 25 things, write them all down. No, I know, true crime, Trish. I know it's a lot, but you know what? There are going to be things you write down that, like, you'll write down. Like, for instance, I want this book to be a bestseller, or I want to be the longest running on the bestseller list ever. Right now, when we look at those two, which is the one that's further out, that has a lifetime in it? Well, obviously the lifetime is being on the bestseller list for X amount of time, right? So we're looking at lifetime goals. So, and you know what? Here's what I'm going to say to you. I know everybody's like, it's big, it's a lot. Just make it up. Fake it. You know, if you have to write down, I want to be a plastic king, whatever you want to do. I want to master yoga, whatever you want to do. Write down all of those things. Now, here's what I want to say to you. If there's something you want to do, I guarantee there's going to be things that come up to get in the way. Anybody ever heard of distraction? Remember Moon Pisces in this new decade? Ooh, that's going to be a distraction. Write down 25. Even if you think they're wrong. I want to be a dog groomer. If you wanted to be a fireman when you were a kid, I want to be a fireman. Whatever is coming through you, you'll write that down. Trust me, you'll get 25. Trust me. When you start going on like, okay, when you write the 25 down, and here we go. Let's see. Oh. Okay, good. Do this. Write the 25 down. I always, you know what I did? You know how I finished my first book? I wrote in pen over my computer. It said, write, W-R-I-T-E, wrong, W-R-O-N-G. And every day I sat down and I wrote it wrong. And I finished my first book and sold it. Because the idea that it has to be so perfect. Do a list of 25. Now, when you have that 25, some of you will come up with more, right? What's going to happen is, this is lifetime. I want you to circle the 5 things on that list that you will absolutely, that are the most important of the 25, no matter what it is, right? And you might put on there, I'm going to be an expert badminton player. Well, when you look at the fact that you're going to, your vision is, I'm using writing, but it could be to be a singer-songwriter. Maybe being a badminton player and being paid as a professional sports person, maybe that's not going to go on the long-term list, right? I know, write it wrong. Oh boy, that gets me writing. You know what? If you want me to, just make a note too. A lot of times I see the notes after the video. If you want me to do something on how I write my books and that process, I'm happy to do it. Okay, do it wrong. So you do it wrong, write down the 25 things, circle the 5 that you absolutely know are what you are going to accomplish in this lifetime, the things you want. Now, this is Warren Buffett now. And then, truth bumps, ready for the hard part? You must ignore the other 20. You are not allowed to even look at those 20 because they are not related to the 5. And what this is about is then you take those 5 things and you put them into structure. And here's the way that works. So you've got on your list, let's say, I'm going to be an expert badminton player, right? I'm going to be the best badminton player in the whole world. Well, the problem is that you really want to have a wild caught salmon business in Alaska. Well, that does not relate to this. So you're not probably going to train for the Olympics or for badminton if one of your big goals, and this is what you really want, is to start that Alaska fishing thing, whatever that looks like. So what I'm trying to say